The Buick Reatta is an incredibly underrated and unique two-seater from the 80s, but did you know they made a turbocharged and a rear-wheel drive version of this car? Back in 1988 to 1989, Buick decided to modify some vehicles for a press event held at the Firebird Raceway near Phoenix, Arizona. Among these cars were multiple test vehicles, including a rear-wheel drive swapped Buick Regal, but the most interesting part of this was the two Reattas they had on show. The first was a turbocharged Reatta. This Reatta was modified from the stock. Normally on the front lip, Reattas have rectangular fog lights, however these were replaced with ram air for the brakes. It was fitted with an Air Research high-flow T3 turbocharger matched to a Buick 3800 V6 engine. This was capable of 230 horsepower at 5,100 RPM and 260 pound-feet of torque at 2,500 RPM. A definite improvement over the stock 165 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque, but not nearly as interesting as the next Reatta they had on show. Like the Buick Regal mentioned earlier, the second Reatta was a rear-wheel drive swap. The suspension was significantly modified to accommodate for the new transmission for the rear-wheel drive. It also had larger wheels, 16-inch instead of the stock 15, custom flared side and front body panels, and a very noticeable hood bump. The engine, like before, was a Buick 3800 V6. It was again fitted with an Air Research high-flow T3, this time a water-cooled variant. This Reatta was tuned for much higher turbo boost. This made it capable of 245 horsepower at 4,400 RPM, and a whopping 355 pound-feet of torque at 2,800 RPM. That's about on par with the 1987 Buick Grand National's horsepower, which at the time was 245 horsepower and 355 pound-feet of torque. This made for an incredibly quick vehicle. Both of these Reattas were available for viewing at the press event. However, the press were allowed to drive the front-wheel drive turbocharged Reatta. Unfortunately, one of the press who was driving the car could not handle the torque steer, and it rammed into a steel barrier, destroying the vehicle. Keep in mind, this vehicle could do 0 to 60 in 6 seconds back in 1989. A sad end to a beautiful vehicle. But this raises the question, what happened to the rear-wheel drive variant? Is it still on the roads today? Unfortunately, probably not. According to Mike Doble, the Buick Advanced Concepts and Specialty Vehicle Manager from 1985 to 2000, he was specifically the team lead that worked on these Buicks. He says, quote, "I am certain that each of these vehicles no longer exists. While we gained much valuable technical information from the vehicles and the media event, the vehicles themselves were no longer applicable, so most likely after this event, the vehicles were destroyed. There is, however, still a chance that they're sitting in some warehouse somewhere. Most likely not the case for the front-wheel drive turbo, considering it was wrecked at the event, and I don't imagine they fixed it, but the rear-wheel drive one could still be out there somewhere. I'm personally keeping up hope." Thank you so much for listening to this little tidbit of Reatta history. If you like this video, make sure to follow me and give this a like.